Hey, and welcome to the History Makers Leadership Podcast. My name is Daniel, and I'm again excited to be joined by my dear friend, Corbin Hogue. Corbin, it's great to have you here, brother.
Man, it's an honor to be on, man.
Amen. Corbin, catch us up a little bit about your leadership context. What does it kind of look like for you and your family right now? Tell us a little of your background, man.
Well, my name is Corbin Hogue, like he said. Dude, it really is an honor to be on. What I love saying is, like, I'm a husband. I'm a father to 5 beautiful kids. We are church planners out of Greenville, South Carolina, in a community called Nickeltown. Been in ministry now 15 years, and we've been a church planners now for 2.5 years.
Man, that's incredible. Yeah. You know, as I knew we were going to be sitting down, Corbin, I really was just like, Lord, what is it that you would have us talk through, think through, and kind of unpack for other Christian brothers and sisters that are in leadership context? And the Lord just really kept echoing this word to me, and it was the word collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, I know that has been a huge part of your church's really birth, growth, development. There's been so many elements along that pathway. And so I'd love to just, see if we could share some stories around that and maybe some of what that's looked like. So, as we were kind of talking in preparation for this, we wanted to kind of think through defining collaboration.
Yeah.
As you think through some relationships with, Jeff, Grace, et cetera, how have you seen relationships kind of sit as a key part of that collaboration process?
Yeah, I think it really starts off at the foundation of what we've been able to do. Because a little bit more about our context, we serve in an underserved community, more like in the inner city. Medium household income is $23,000.
Okay.
And so collaboration plays a big part in our story as it pertains to that, because we knew going in that we was going to lead a lot of assistance outside of our context to help us come in to do that. And so, like you mentioned, there's an amazing church out of Akron, Ohio, called Grace Church of Greater Akron. They've been a huge support of ours, as well as there's a organization within our community called Lead Collective.
Okay.
And they have been a huge asset to what we been able to do, and I like to say we stand on their shoulders a lot.
Yeah.
But all of that was birthed through relationship.
Tell me a little of that story. You were sharing it earlier, the story about how God brought you to the place that you're in, what you guys were praying for, what they were praying for, and kind of how that all came together.
Yeah, so for us, it was during COVID. We were at the time where everybody was having to kind of be in their homes and kind of sit with themselves. And so we was at the time serving at a church in Atlanta, and literally during COVID, kept feeling the Lord saying, all right, your time is coming to an end. And it was almost like he was saying, when are you going to do what I told you to do? And for me, it was, okay, so you want me to walk away from all of this in kind of a suburban context and go back to the inner city. And so ended up calling a friend, a mentor who I mentioned, his name is Jeff, pastor out of Akron, Ohio. And I said, hey, man, I feel like the Lord is calling us to do that. And he was like, yeah, I believe that. Since I've known you, that's all you have ever talked about was going into this context. And so we ended up doing a pastor in training program where we spent 13 months up there, and we were just looking through plans of church planning, doing intensive counseling and things of that sort. But to fast forward the story to us getting to Greenville, it was at the end of my program, and I was like, okay, now we're getting ready to go down and plant. And I'm sitting at the table with a group of my friends, and I'm saying, hey, okay, we're finally getting ready to plant the church.
Right.
And they looked at me and said, about time. Because, in our relationship, we have even talked about that and when the Lord was going to allow me to do it. And so they responded to, now is the time. And so, long story short, sitting at the table with these friends of mine, and I'm listing off everything I want us to do.
Yeah.
I want us to have an after-school program. I want to feed this community. I want to host Bible studies in homes. Yeah, big vision. And I'm like, but we need a place to do it. And so my friend who was sitting at the table, he sent me a website of the nonprofit. And he was like, it sounds like they're doing everything you want to do. After-school program, feeding the community, all of these things. And I was like, the only thing they look like they're missing is a church. And they found out that they was actually renting out their facility to other people. And so at the time I was still living in Akron, Ohio, sent one of my best friends down to toured the space. And long story short, the executive director was sitting in the nonprofit, and him and my best friend hit it off.
Wow.
And he kept asking, so where are y'all looking to plant? Where y'all looking to plant?
Right.
And I met him in June of 2021, the executive director, Cam Hill, shout out, I love you. But I met him in June of 2021. But him and his wife felt called by the Lord to start fasting and praying in May of 2021 because they felt led to be a part of a church plant.
Wow.
And so they felt like God was calling them to do that. And I ended up meeting him in June. And we sat down, and he wanted to hear more of the vision. And that what started the relationship between us. And now he's an elder at our church, been with us for 2.5 years. Wow. And now we occupy their space that we was meeting him.
That is so exciting and encouraging. You know, as you share that story, Corbin, I have to confess, 2 key words come to mind. The first is obedience.
Yeah. Well,
right. Kingdom collaboration is going to require obedience.
Yeah.
And that obedience actually opens up other people to be obedient to the Lord as well.
Yeah.
Right. Because he was waiting. He was like, Lord, you're sending someone. God, what is that? What is that? Right. But literally by your act of obedience, God opened up that door for them to be able to follow through with his plan for them as well. And in that process, that kingdom collaboration brought about greater impact. You know, as I think through, again, this word collaboration, you mentioned a huge vision. Yeah. And that's really driven, I think, by love for the community.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Right. That's where you guys, like, that's what drives you. Yeah. How have you seen that clarity of love and commitment to the community, to the vision that God's given you? How have you seen that mobilize other people, other churches, other organizations?
Yeah, I think it's the word that comes to mind. I think it's contagious. I think people like really, I think we live in a world now where people are looking to put action to things and not just words.
Yeah, man.
And so I think when people see that, especially in our context, we're seeing a lot of people really want to take Jesus at his word. And like really, hey, if you have the least, you do this for the least of these, you've done this for me.
Right.
Also, and so we have seen people like get energized, and it's been contagious because they are seeing that we aren't just trying to like bring people to our church, but we're trying to go be the church. And so I think that has been something that's been very contagious to our community, and people are buying into it. And I thank the Lord, and it's all like being led out of vision.
That's it.
That's all that it is.
Well, man, a clear vision is so incredibly powerful, and it's essential to mobilizing the body of Christ. And I love the way that you've done that. I mean, we were even talking right now, your home, your community, it's not in a good spot, right? A hurricane came through, been without power for several days, and yet you got on a phone call with 6 other senior pastors of churches outside of your community to mobilize them, to help them see the vision for what does it mean to serve Nicholtown right now in the midst of what's going on. How have you seen that collaboration result in real impact in people's lives? I mean, you mentioned earlier, you've seen salvations, you've seen some of these things. What is that looking like practically?
Man, it's looking like a lot. Like we've been, it's just been a lot of boots on the ground, like type stuff. So like with our community, like I said before, kind of historical underserved community. So food insecurity is a big thing. And so with those collaborations, we are seeing people now be able to eat. And so like we do something every other month called Soulful Sunday.
Okay.
Where we host a community meal with our community, and we also partner with a local meat truck that provides like healthy portions of meat. Nice. And so our church subsidizes that cost, but that comes through collaboration.
Okay.
So like we have people who have been very generous to us and been able to allow us to actually be able to subsidize the cost. And so now they're able to get things that we take for granted, like grilled chicken. They're able to get it for like $1 a pound because of the collaboration.
Wow.
Also, there are other people who we partner with. There's an organization called Fish and Loaves, where they provide us with free fruits and vegetables for our community. And so we're able to allow all of that. We like to say we open our church up every other month, and it's like the old TV show Supermarket Sweep.
Yeah, bro.
How you just like go inside and you just able to get whatever you want. And so we look forward to that. But that's because of a lot of relationships who don't even like live in our community, who have just seen the vision. But through that time, it has taken trust to build and with those relationships, and a compelling vision, and we're seeing people act on that.
Brother, I love that, right? It does take that compelling vision. It takes that established trust. But I have to confess, Corbin, so many times we just see the obstacles to collaboration. I think of the various, I mean, how many other churches are out there, man, that aren't doing that? That aren't collaborating with others, that aren't clear enough on the vision or are able to mobilize enough around it so that they're able to work together with the body of Christ to see something done. So, as we were thinking through this, we were planning and preparing. Our other friend Justin said the phrase. He said, "Sometimes collaboration requires breaking down barriers and building bridges."
Yeah.
So do you have any like examples of that in your own experience where you've had to help break down some walls?
Yeah.
Right. You mentioned your community is going through some community change.
Yeah.
Right. So are you seeing some breakdown of walls there, or are you seeing some buildings bridge? How have you seen that take place?
Yeah. So practically, man, we're sitting at actually in our community right now. Like you mentioned, there is gentrification that's happening in our neighborhood. And so quickly,
now, hold on. That's a big word, man.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Dude, long story short, there are new people moving into those communities, and they're kicking families out of those houses.
Okay.
And they're raising up the price on the homes.
Okay.
So this is a real story that just happened. Yeah. This was 2 months ago. Well, no, at this time it was like 3 months ago.
Okay.
5 people who attend our church all received the same letter. And on this letter, it said that you have 30 days to get out of the house. Like these are single moms with kids. These are families. Dude, this broke my heart. This was a 92-year-old lady who's been living in this house for 15 years. Received a letter and said you had 30 days to get out.
Oh, my gosh.
And literally what they did was once those 5 families moved out, they added some fake grass onto the land, put paint on the houses, and put cement down for a little carport, and they jacked up the price. And now people have moved in and rent is $2,000.
Oh my goodness!
So these are like 5 families who was displaced,
right?
Because of all like there's gentrification that's happening.
Okay.
In that.
So now you help me understand what that is. Okay. So how are you breaking down those barriers?
Yeah. So so we're actually seeing there's like we like to say in our community is once you get to know a person, it's hard for you to look at them through a different filter. And so like one of the things that we've been able to see at our church on Sunday, I told you gentrification is happening. We have both audiences who are coming to our church on Sunday morning.
Okay.
And many of them are finding out that they stay on the same street by coming to our church on Sunday morning.
Oh, wow.
Because one of the things that we do is we carve intentional time out for you to get to know somebody you don't know in our community. And we do a lot of meals together.
Okay.
And so we are trying to find practical ways to break down those barriers. And one of the things like was very interesting, it was like, I'm not going to say their names, but it was a lady who came to me after service one day and in tears. And I'm thinking like, are you okay?
Yeah,
what's going on? And she looked at me and she said, like, I want to confess something to you. And I'm like, brace yourself. You know, you've been pastoring a long time. Like, you like, okay, what you getting ready to say? And she said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, like, I got to confess this. I was viewing those people on the other side of the street like they was going to take something from me.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like kind of taken back by it. Like,
of course.
And I thanked her for her honesty. And after she got done, she saying, but I see they are humans just like me. And I was like, what brought you to that conclusion? And she would say that it was Sunday Soulful Social that we host with the community. I was sitting down talking to said person, and we literally eating a meal together, and we just having conversation.
Yeah.
And she was like, I didn't know I was carrying that in my heart. But all it was you're able now to sit down and have a meal, and now you're able to see this person. And it's the other way around, because those who live in the community and they see the gentrification that's happening, it's easy to label those people.
Yeah.
And say, oh, y'all are coming into our communities and y'all are X, Y, and Z.
Right.
When half of the time what we're seeing in our context, these people didn't know this was even taking place. They just saw an open home.
Right. They're just trying to find a spot to live.
Yeah, they're just trying to find somewhere to live. And so, like, it's just been kind of cool. But we've been seeing when you intentionally take time to build relationships with a person, it's hard to like view them in a different way. You start to see their pain as your pain.
It just makes me think of that scripture. There's neither Jew nor Greek, right? Slave nor free.
Right.
It is just Christ. And when you gather around that gospel, right, suddenly identity, purpose, vision start to change. And suddenly I'm not looking at somebody who stole from my community or somebody who's going to steal from me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at somebody who loves the Lord and is loved by the Lord.
Right.
And that's how I see my own identity in that context. And I think that's the beautiful element of the kind of kingdom collaboration that God calls his body to, right? But sometimes, man, things get in the way. Pride can get in the way.
Yeah.
Right. As I think through the context of the International Leadership Institute, right, we have the privilege of working across, 100 different nations around the world, different languages, all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
Man. It is, Gorb. But I think about how many times pride has held back some of those opportunities or become a hindrance to the gospel pressing forward, right? One denomination and another denomination being unwilling to work together,
right?
Or the beauty of when those bridges are built, right? When those people of peace come together and allow for greater kingdom influence to take place, right? Key leaders that God has placed in communities with a greater view for the community, a greater view for the lost in that community than a view for their own elevation or growth. And I think there's something powerful like that, right? I think that's some of the power that I see when I think of you and the way that God has designed and given you an experience, right? Yeah. He has moved you through this experience of pastoral leadership that has perfectly positioned you for the place that you are now.
Oh yeah.
So that in the midst of all of these shifts and transitions and changes, you're able to help pastor all of them with a heart that is fully focused on the Lord and the calling that he's made.
Yeah, bro. I think it's you hit a key point, but I think he had to kill some stuff in me. He had to like take some stuff out of my hand.
Okay.
To get me to this point. And I think it is the pride. Pride had to be killed. Because I think if anytime you're trying to do anything to better the kingdom of God, like you got to release some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of been what I've been seeing, kind of the thread in my story.
Yeah.
Him having to kill that and me having to surrender.
But isn't that how our God works? He's never just working on one person. He's working on all of us.
Right.
Right. And so when he calls us to that collaboration, it's not just about what he's wanting to do in and through those that we're collaborating with. It's actually what he's doing in us too at that same 100%. Time. At that same time. So, all right, here's a question. Okay. I know you have mentioned you live in Nicholtown, right?
Yeah.
Like you have come in because you don't want to parachute in.
Nope.
You want to be in that place and with those people because you have such a clear heart for that community. Sometimes when we go to collaborate, we end up with a mixed vision rather than a supported vision. What I mean when I say that is sometimes I come in like I know the right idea, but you'd come and say, "Hey man, that ain't the right idea." Yeah. But now I'm just trying to tell you what to do. Because I'm coming to help. So obviously you should listen to me. Yeah. At ILI, we teach the incredible value of culturally relevant evangelism, right? How in that context, you gotta listen to the person who's in it. So how have you seen that go successfully, or how have you seen maybe that go poorly in some of your own experiences?
Yeah, well, I'm throwing myself under the bus first. I seen it go poorly when I first moved into the neighborhood. Because what I quickly had to understand was, just because you was raised in the inner city environment, all inner city environments are not the same.
Oh, there you go.
Right? Like they aren't the same. So they don't move the same way. They have some similarities, right? But they are different. And so me coming in, I came in like, oh, I know this land. Right? I lived this. Me and my wife come from this. And it was a humbling experience for us. Because the first 6 months, it's almost like I had to learn their language. I had to learn like their way of life and how they do things. And it took us better part of like 3 months to learn it. And after that, we was just kind of like welcomed in. But those first 6 months, I came in like I knew like exactly what they wanted and what they needed. And it was until I started rubbing shoulders like with them, like I changed, like instead of driving to work, I walked to work. because I wanted to know the neighbors who were just sitting outside
Right.
and things of that. So instead of like me hopping in my car and going to Publix, I started shopping at the nearest grocery store that's close to us
Mhm.
because I wanted to see what they eat. And so it took humility for us because once again, like I said, I came into it like I was knowing what the lay of the land was.
Yeah.
But now I'm well versed enough to even in the way I communicate the needs of our community.
Mm.
Even to people, I literally try to tell our story with dignity
Yeah.
because these are people who are made in the image of
Amen.
God, and they taught me that.
Right.
Instead of putting a sob story together, and so.
Man, that's such a good word, right? We keep coming back to this kind of this centering on that word humility a bit, and I do think that there's something important in that word humility when it comes to kingdom collaboration, and I think that humility is ultimately a reflection of understanding where we stand in relation to God. It's a healthy relationship with God that allows me to live in a space of the humility necessary to say, God, your purpose in this vision is greater than me, and so I need to learn the context, or I need to understand that vision or that calling more clearly so that I can support it rather than coming in and pretending like I've got all the answers. Right. And in a global context, that could be so easy, right? To show up and seem like, oh, well, you've got 1,000 people at your church. You must know what you're doing. Well, maybe from my context, but maybe not. And the reality is I've got something to learn from you. One of the biggest lessons God's taught me, in my time at ILI is how many lessons I have to learn from the global body of Christ because they're going through circumstances and situations that I'm not going through yet, but I may one day. And so how can I learn from that, right? I don't have to navigate some of those things on a daily basis, but I may one day. And so how can I learn that lesson from that individual or that, that church globally? So as we think through, again, this word collaboration, we understand the importance of humility in the midst of that. Corbin, we use this word relationship, and sometimes our relationships can be, let's just say it, transactional. Right. It's you, me, and then this deal that that's really what we're worried about, right? Okay. But you said this earlier, talking about a key relationship in your life, where you were waiting for like a right hook. Like, okay, when's that deal really going to be mentioned? But in the body of Christ, that's not how God designed it.
Right.
How do we live in those kind of relationships? How do you see that? How do we live in that space, man?
Yeah, I think first thing is it take time. Is you getting to know that person. And the reason why I was able to kind of take the word of my pastor and say, there's no right hook. I love you and I'm here to support you is because it took time for me to like develop that relationship and I was able to trust that. Because every time there was a time to bring it up, he never brought it up. And the only time that it's brought up is when I bring it up. Like it's and he like, what are you talking about? So I think that stuff actually takes time. And it goes back to that word humility, bro. Like it's just time and humility that I think that's how you actually live in it. Because I even think back like on me and your friendship. Yeah. Like before he was the president, he was youth pastor serving together and alongside of each other, we was two people becoming one. Like,
that's right.
Right?
Yeah,
like in our roles. And so, but that took time for us to build that. And that was I to learn you to learn me. What are we strong at? What are we weak at? Right. Okay. Like I hate meetings, you love them, right? Like
that's right. There you go.
Like discipleship is what you do. I'm an evangelist. Like let's go out and touch the, And so, but we took time for us to figure that out. And so, I would encourage people to first understand it is going to take time, and two, it's messy. Like those two things. Like people, when it get hard, they want to pull out.
That's right.
And so, I would encourage you like to take the time to develop the relationship and just know it's going to be messy along the way.
I think that's so good. Particularly in the West, we focus so much on things now, immediate. But even when you went into this neighborhood where you and your church plants are now, it took time to build trust. It's still taking time to build trust.
100%.
Right? And that consistency over a long period of time is so, so important. And I think at the right time, God moves that from I'm investing in this to now we're able to collaborate together, right? And really see that transformation. But if I've got all these obstacles, Corbin, I have to have the why. Why is this collaboration worthwhile? And my argument would be, we see greater kingdom impact.
Gotta be.
Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, is that what you're seeing in your context?
Yeah, that is the goal.
Yeah.
Like anything you're going to do this is what I learned. Anything you're going to do great for the kingdom of God, it takes collaboration. And that's been a thing that, go back to what you asked earlier, it's been a thing that's been mobilizing for us. It's the advancement of the kingdom of God.
That's right.
It's not the name of our church. It's that the gospel be spread. And so I think that's it.
I love that, brother. This is the scripture that came to mind. Okay. And this is from 1 Corinthians chapter 12. For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. Wow. And that, Corbin, I think is really at the heart of the gospel. You're in one church, I'm in another church, but we're part of the same church.
Same.
Right?
It's the beauty.
And then and God is going to and does accomplish great things when we don't build silos for our own kingdom advance or our own ego even, but we remain in that humble, abiding relationship with the Father through the Son and the Spirit, and we acknowledge, God, this is your kingdom. And we just have the privilege of being a part of building it out, being a part of listening to you, and a part of building the kingdom in others as well. And that kind of collaboration, man, brings transformational change in communities. I love it, brother.
Beautifully said, my friend.
That's great, Corbin. That's great. Well, hey, listen, if this has been helpful for you, if this has been an encouragement to you, I just want to say there are incredible resources available at the International Leadership Institute. Look, we exist to serve and equip leaders so that they can accomplish their God-given vision, whether that's planting a church in the United States or in Malawi, whether that's building a nonprofit or an NGO. Or maybe you're called to lead a marketplace reformation and transformation in your country and context. We want to give you the core values of the most effective and faithful Christian leaders. So you can check that out at iliteam.org. And if you're looking for incredible resources for what it looks like to lead a church plant in the inner city in the United States, I want to encourage you to check out Corbin Hogue, the things that he's putting out on Build This City, some of the stories and relationships that he has there, an incredible leader and one that I know God will continue to use to transform communities. Thanks so much for being a part of this, and I pray that God just blesses you as you go through today.